Have you ever noticed that the exact moment you stop over-delivering your attention is the moment she starts leaning in, asking more questions, mirroring your tempo, and putting real effort into seeing you? That shift isn't magic, and it isn't manipulation. It's the precise effect of a psychological principle you're about to learn to use with discipline. Engineered scarcity built on genuine value. Not flaking, not playing dead. Scarcity anchored in purpose, boundaries, and a life that moves whether she's in it or not. When you execute this correctly, you won't need to chase. She will choose to compete for your time because your time has weight, your self-respect sets the rules of engagement, and your presence carries the rare signal every high-value woman is biologically wired to notice: selective availability. Before we go any further, understand this. Scarcity only works when it's true and when it's ethical. Pretending to be busy while you sit refreshing messages is transparent. Manufacturing jealousy is cheap. Ghosting is immature. The move I'm going to hand you is strategic, grounded in behavioral psychology and evolutionary cues that have been observed again and again. People assign higher value to things that are limited and costly, especially if those things are consistently useful and emotionally rewarding. Robert Cialdini described scarcity as a universal trigger. When access narrows, desire rises. In attraction, it's amplified, because there's also mate choice copying and social proof. When a man's attention is visibly selected by quality environments and respected by his peers, women infer hidden value he doesn't have to advertise. Add psychological reactants, the human tendency to want more of what is less available, and you understand why a man who leads, protects his time, and does not over-explain is perceived as more desirable than the man who floods the channel trying to be chosen. This is not theory for theory's sake. This is your operating system from now on. Here's the frame. Your attention is a currency with strict inflation control. When you print too much of it, its value plummets. When you allocate it methodically, attached to standards and a schedule bigger than dating, its price goes up. The scarcity move is the deliberate installation of 3 layers: inner calibration, outward signaling, and interaction design. Inner calibration makes scarcity honest. Your day is full of mission, training, and responsibilities that would exist even if you were invisible to women. Outward signaling makes that truth legible: your lifestyle, social contexts, and communication patterns quietly broadcast that your attention must be earned. Interaction design turns all of that into subtle behaviors: how you text, how you plan dates, how you handle tests, how you end the night, that consistently create the experience of, I must bring my best to stay in his orbit. Do not confuse this with coldness. Scarcity without warmth is arrogance. Warmth without scarcity is neediness. The attractive balance, masculine presence, combines selective generosity with firm boundaries. The first layer is inner calibration. If you lack this, everything else becomes a performance you can't sustain. Start with purpose. A man with no direction becomes addicted to the dopamine of validation. A man with mission can enjoy validation without depending on it. Outline your week around 3 pillars: body, craft, and tribe. Body. Train 4 to 5 times a week with measurable progression, because strength and energy are not negotiable in attraction. Your physiology writes checks your words cannot. Craft. Invest focused blocks daily into the skills and work that expand your future. Competence isn't just attractive, it's a self-respect engine that lowers anxiety and kills neediness at the root. Tribe. Carve time for friends, mentors, and environments where you contribute and are challenged. Social value is not a trick, it's a byproduct of being valuable to other people. Implement time windows for communication. Decide when you are reachable and when you are not, and make those blocks real. If your phone is always in your palm, you are not scarce, you are on call. Put it away when you train, work, and recover. That's not a stunt, that's mental hygiene. You will notice something immediate. The fewer micro-dopamine hits you swallow from texting, the more present you become in real interactions, and the more weight your responses carry when you do reply. Scarcity begins with your nervous system choosing signal over noise. The second layer is outward signaling. Attraction runs on cues, not lectures. You don't tell someone you're selective. You live in a way that forces them to conclude it for themselves. Think in terms of ecological validity. What would an outsider infer if they watched your life on mute for a week? Would they see a man in motion or a man in waiting? Curate your environments. Date in places where you are already comfortable and known, not anonymous corners where you appear like a stranger auditioning. Show up with people who respect you. Your friends are an unspoken testimonial. Mate choice copying is real. When women observe that other women enjoy being around you, ease, laughter, trust, they subconsciously update their estimate of your value. This is not about parading anyone. It's about being socially calibrated and emotionally safe enough that others naturally relax around you. Dress like you respect yourself. No screaming logos, no costume peacocking. Clean fit, good fabric, intentional grooming, subtle indicators of discipline, well-kept hands, a watch you care about, shoes you maintain, are tiny credibility anchors. Your body language should be unhurried, eyes soft but direct, gestures economical. A man who does not fidget is a man who has somewhere better to place his energy. When you speak, let silence do some of the carrying. Verbal scarcity, saying enough without flooding the channel, forces attention to rise. The medium is the message. Now the third layer, interaction design. This is where your day-to-day choices create the felt experience of, I need to rise to keep this man's attention. It begins the moment you match or exchange numbers. Your first message sets the tone. Do not open a public committee meeting in her DMs. Be clean, specific, and forward. Good meeting you. I'm free Thursday after 7 for a quick drink near the park. If that works, we'll set it. If not, propose your best alternative. Notice the structure. You offer a frame, limit options, and invite agency. You don't beg for it. You do not chase with essays. You do not ask 10 qualifying questions before moving. If she responds with enthusiasm and a time that fits, lock it. If she counters vaguely, ask once for clarity. If she drifts, you drift with purpose. Scarcity means you do not subsidize ambiguity with more energy. Reactance theory tells you that when people feel a freedom threatened, they want it back. In dating, your freedom is your time, and when you guard it, others value access to it more. On the date, lean into contrast. Scarcity without warmth is repelling. Warmth without scarcity is forgettable. You create contrast by being fully present in person and minimally available outside. Put the phone away entirely. Ask better questions, not rapid-fire interrogations or performative monologues. Listen in a way most men don't. Make her feel seen without immediately turning her answers into a pitch about yourself. When you tell stories, keep them clean, sensory, and short. Leave edges unpolished so she can ask you to continue. That triggers the Zeigarnik effect. Incomplete information sticks in the mind and invites pursuit. Keep the date contained. 90 minutes is a sweet spot. End while it's rising, not when it's spilling over. The peak end rule, people judge experiences by the strongest moment, and the ending means deliberately ending on energy creates stronger memory and more initiative from her later. When you part, be decisive. I enjoyed this. I've got an early start tomorrow, so I'm heading out. Text me when you're home. You don't linger in the hallway negotiating for 5 extra minutes of validation. You leave with a clear frame and a clean exit. That exit is a silent demonstration of value. She feels that you could have stayed and you chose not to. That choice makes you scarce. Your texting cadence after the date is part of the architecture. You do not go dark to punish. You go quiet because your life is full, and you intentionally let anticipation breathe. Variable reinforcement drives motivation. If everything about you is predictable and constantly available, there's little reason to invest. If your responses come in clear windows, morning after training, evening after work, your communication becomes rhythmic and trustworthy without being saturating. Keep messages proportional to the signal she's sending. If she writes 3 thoughtful lines, answer with substance, not a thumbs up. If she drops 1-word pings for attention, you don't reward every ping. You're not cold, you're selective. Make the move to the next date within a short window while momentum is high. Choice architecture matters. Suggest plans that are easy to say yes to but slightly costly to flake on. Tickets you've already bought. A reservation in a place you know. An activity that engages the body and the senses, not only a chair and a screen. Effort justification, people value what they invest in, means that when she contributes planning or adapts her schedule, attachment grows. You're not forcing this, you're designing for it. Inevitably, you will encounter tests. A test is not a declaration of war. It's a data request. Are you talking to other girls? Translates to, is your attention easily captured? Do not lecture. Do not confess your entire calendar. Keep your frame and mirror back security. I'm selective with my time. I'm not in a rush to label anything. When I'm with you, I'm with you. That line says, I am chosen by options. I choose deliberately, and I focus on the present. If she tries to push you into reactive reassurance, prove that I'm the only one, you don't bend your boundaries to calm her anxiety. You hold her hand with presence, not with promises you can't keep. If she cancels late without a real reason, you do not explode, and you do not pay for it with extra effort. You reset once. Life happens. Let's try next week. Same plan, Thursday or Friday works. If she repeats the pattern, you release the thread. Scarcity means you do not trap yourself in negotiations with someone who doesn't respect time. You're not punishing, you're choosing your standards every day. Now let's address the temptation to overplay scarcity. Many men hear this concept and swing into performance mode. Long delays, cryptic replies, and a posture of boredom. That is not masculine. That is theater. The point is not to be unreadable. The point is to be unneedy. If she reaches out with vulnerability, you respond with warmth. If she celebrates a win, you celebrate sincerely. If she invites you into her world, you notice the details and ask grounding questions. The scarcity move works because what is scarce is not your kindness or your integrity. What is scarce is your compliance with low-effort access to your energy. Keep that distinction clear. Women are exquisitely sensitive to emotional congruence. If your mouth says, I'm busy, but your eyes, your posture, your habits scream, please pick me, the truth will leak through. Better to be a man who says less and means everything he says. Underneath all of this sits the backbone of stoicism. Focus on what you control, your schedule, your standards, your preparation, your response, not on outcomes or opinions. You cannot control whether any one woman chooses you. You can only control whether your presence is worth choosing. Temperance keeps you from flooding. Courage keeps you from hiding. Justice keeps you ethical. You tell the truth. You don't overpromise. And you do not leverage scarcity to harm. Wisdom keeps you adaptive. When your move is working, you don't break it with ego. When it's not, you change direction without drama. The paradox of attraction is that letting go of control over other people's choices gives you maximum influence over your own. That release is sexy because it's rare. Let's make this practical immediately. Audit your attention. Open your messages and notice where you keep reinvesting with no return. Draw a line. Withdraw politely. If she notices and steps forward with intention, engage. If she doesn't, you have your answer, and you gained back hours of life. Replace those hours with body, craft, tribe. Install communication windows. Decide, mornings from 8 to 9, evenings from 7 to 8. Outside those windows, the phone is out of sight. When you reply, reply like a man with a spine. Short, warm, purposeful. No life story. End each micro-interaction with a direction. We'll pick this up Thursday. This builds momentum and removes the static of endless, low-grade small talk that bleeds desire dry. Design your next date with scarcity in mind. Choose an environment where you are confident and can create variability. Movement, light, sound, a couple of micro-changes of scene. Walk, then a drink. Gallery, then coffee. The mind encodes changes. Multiple small peaks beat one long flat line. Keep the budget sensible but intentional. It's not about price, it's about thought. Show leadership by planning, but invite her preference on a detail. 2 spots I like, 1 quiet, 1 lively. Which vibe are you in the mood for? That builds agency while keeping the frame in your hands. On the date, stay present. Calibrate your eye contact. Too little feels slippery, too much feels interrogative. Touch with sensitivity and congruence, never as a tactic, always as an answer to the moment. If she invests, leans in, asks questions, brings playful tension, reward it with attention. If she withholds, do not fill the space with a sales pitch. You are not a performer for hire, you are the venue. Now consider the psychology of investment. Humans pursue what they've already paid into. If you give away all the highs up front, constant compliments, instant compliance, immediate availability, you remove the ramp that lets desire climb. Instead, offer earned highs. a compliment that references something specific she revealed, not generic approval. A surprise plan that clearly took thought because she showed you what lights her up. A moment of stillness when you look at her and let it be known you're there. Then pull back into your life. This rhythm, presence then return to purpose, draws the line. You are not a hobby. You are a man. She feels it. She adapts. She begins to mirror the rhythm. She takes initiative because the only way to stay close to a man in motion is to move. Let's talk about social proof without childish provocation. Yes, when other women enjoy you, it signals value. But there is a line between healthy social abundance and insecurity theater. You do not flirt with a waitress in front of your date to make her jealous. You do not post highlight reels designed to trigger fear. Instead, you live a full life. Training, friends, projects, travel, and share naturally, not strategically. You accept that women have radar. They notice the quality of your relationships, the competence of your friends, the respect others show you when you enter a room. You do not name drop or brag, you let the environment speak. When she picks up those signals, scarcity tightens. This man is not waiting to be loved. He is already chosen by life. If I want a place in it, I will have to choose, show up, and contribute. That feeling is the engine of healthy competition, not rivalry with other women, but rivalry with her own lower standards. She competes to be the version of herself that belongs in your orbit. Inevitably, there will be cycles of pullback. Maybe she got busy, maybe fear kicked in, maybe attention wandered. Your response is the test of your frame. If you rush in with volume to force closeness, you teach her that distance buys your pursuit. That training is hard to unlearn. Instead, you decrease output and increase quality. One direct message. Seems our rhythms went off. I'm around next week if you want to pick a day. Then you let silence do the work. People often need to feel the weight of losing access to realize what access meant. If she returns with renewed energy, do not punish, reset. If she replies with crumbs, you do not bake a cake out of them. Scarcity is also self-respect in action. You would rather be alone than be tolerated. Now let's install language that holds your frame without hostility. I don't operate well in endless text. Let's set the plan. I prefer quality over quantity. One good evening beats 2 weeks of small talk. I keep my schedule tight. If you're in, I'm in. If not, no problem. I had a good time, and I'm heading out now. Tell me one thing that's alive for you this week. Let's make it simple. Wednesday or Thursday, early evening. Notice the consistency. Simple choices, clear boundaries, forward motion. You don't explain why your time matters. You demonstrate that it does. And you reinforce this by never breaking your own rules. If you tell her you sleep early because you train at 6, you don't stay up until 2 to be available. If you tell her you don't chase ambiguity, you don't spend a weekend negotiating with it. The fastest way to lose attraction is to compromise the very structure that created it. Measure progress not by the fireworks of any one night, but by the trend line of initiative. Is she texting first sometimes? Is she proposing plans? Is she showing up on time, dressing with intention, asking better questions, closing the space between you? Is she testing less and trusting more? Those are signal gains. If the line is flat or falling despite your best execution, you do the bravest thing. You let it go fully. Scarcity, without the willingness to walk, is cosplay. With the willingness to walk, scarcity is simply reality. There's a deeper reason this move works when you root it in discipline. Effort increases perceived value. The IKEA effect shows that we overvalue what we assemble. When a woman invests to meet your standards, adjusts her schedule, aligns with your rhythm, opens up emotionally, she doesn't just value you more, she values her own growth inside your frame. That's why you must hold the frame with kindness. You are not looking to win. You are inviting her into a higher game. You praise effort. You keep your word. You own your mistakes quickly and repair them cleanly. You never use silence to torture. You use silence to be precise. And you never confuse being hard to reach with being hard to be with. The former raises desire, the latter creates exhaustion. You are easy to be with when present, and not always reachable when apart. That contrast is the gravitational pull. If you're starting from a place of overgiving, the detox will feel edgy. Your fingers will itch to send that extra message. Your mind will invent reasons to break your window and check her stories. Breathe, stand up, and change your state physically. Go train, go create, go help a friend. Cravings for validation pass like weather when your body is in motion. As you do this consistently, you will notice a shift. Women who are aligned with you will escalate their investment. Women who aren't will fade without drama. Both outcomes are wins. Scarcity polarizes without you saying a word. Now imagine what this looks like 6 weeks from now if you execute. Your calendar is a reflection of priorities, training sessions, work blocks, dinners with people who sharpen you, plus dates that feel like oxygen instead of interviews. Your phone is quieter and your mind is clearer. The conversations you do have are richer. Your silence speaks for you. She reaches out with intention because she feels that intention reflected back. She builds plans, not just expectations. She notices you don't need to be needed, and that makes her want to be wanted by you. She competes not against other women, but against the version of herself that thought average effort would be enough for a man who stands where you stand. And if she doesn't, you are still exactly where you need to be, becoming the man whose presence is its own reward. That is the heart of the scarcity move. You don't create scarcity to manipulate. You create scarcity because you're busy living a life worth protecting. There is one final edge to hone: generosity under constraint. When you do give cleanly. If you bring her flowers, let it be because the gesture is aligned with your taste, not because you're trying to purchase affection. If you cook, plate it well, and be fully there, then withdraw into your routine the next day without apology. If you send a message in the middle of your window because something made you smile, send it without fear and without continuing to narrate your day. Your warmth lands harder precisely because it is delivered inside a container. Men who are always available must shout. Men who are selective can whisper and be heard across a room. So here's your move in a single breath you can live by. Build a week that would make you proud if no one could see it. Prune your communication into windows so your words carry weight. Choose dates that create contrast and end them on a rise. Reward initiative and do not subsidize ambiguity. Respond to tests with calm truth instead of panic. And hold the one boundary that makes all the others possible: the willingness to walk. Do this with kindness and consistency and watch how quickly the dynamic flips. You won't need to convince. You won't need to perform. Her psychology will do the work for you. Because where access is earned, effort increases. Where effort increases, attachment deepens. And where a man's presence is both warm and rare, the only game left is the one nature wrote into the script a long time ago. She chooses to compete for the man who refuses to compete for his own worth.